Hey everyone, this is the MSAR STG-556, and to start off, we'll cover the company's history. This parent company is called Microtech. You may know them for making knives, Microtech knives. I've never personally owned one of their knives, but supposedly they're really nicely well made. And Microtech decided to get into the gun business, and they created another branch of their company called MSAR, and that stands for Microtech Small Arms Research. And this model you see here is what they came out with, pretty much more or less. This is called the STG-556. And they came out with different variants of this model. You go on the online forums, you'll see different types. People tend to classify them into generations. For example, generation 1 or generation 2, whichever generation may have a forward assist. And as you can see on this rifle, it doesn't have that feature. So they tend to categorize it from generation 1 to about 3.5 for the MSAR STG-556, and for the latest generation they call them generation 4s, which is the E4 model, which is pretty much the same thing as this, except it can accept AR magazines, and there's the rail option is different. There's more rail real estate on the gun, and they take away the scope by default, and they just give you a Picatinny rail. So those are the differences between the so-called generations. But actually, there's no such thing as generations, because I emailed MSAR to get the facts behind exactly what's going on, and MSAR pretty much told me they never released rifles according to generations. They just sold the STG-556, and they made them with different variants, and they never really classified them into generations. So that's just something, if you see that online, it's something that the forum guys just came up on their own. So you will have STG-556s that will have a forward assist or a bolt release, like mine doesn't, but it's still called the STG-556. The E4 is not the generation 4, it's just a different variant, except they decided to call it the E4 instead of keeping the old name STG-556. So those are some of the generation issues that you may see online, but rest assured that there's no such thing, at least not officially. That's just something that the guys online came up with to help classify the rifles easier, but according to MSAR, there's no such thing as generations. These rifles first came out, they had some problems because obviously MSAR is a new company to the firearms business, but they received a lot of feedback, and then they improved on their rifles. And now they're doing pretty well. They expanded, and they moved the operations, I think earlier this year, over the spring, pretty much over the spring. Just to go over some specs with you guys, this is a bullpup rifle, bullpup design, semi-automatic, gas-operated piston system. It's a short piston drive. The caliber is 5.56 millimeters, or .223 Remington. For clarification on the round that you should put through this thing, I contacted MSAR, and the response was you should put 5.56 rounds through this rifle. But if you want, you can also shoot .223 rounds. Again, semi-automatic, about 150 rounds per minute. This has the 16-inch barrel. And believe it or not, this entire rifle, the length is only 27 inches. It's got an integrated 1.5 optical sight on the top. They call it the CQB sight, CQB optic. It's also got backup iron sights. This material here, they call it the high impact resistant synthetic material. It's just kind of like a polymer. It offered in black, desert tan, or OD green, as you can see here. And the weight, empty, without a magazine, it's about 7.2 pounds. I can hold it pretty comfortably. And the magazine capacity, you can take 10 rounders, 20 rounders, 30 rounders, and 42 rounders. Alright, so those are the specs. So moving on, this is a bullpup. Just want to talk about the design real quickly and why I chose a bullpup. Compared to non-bullpup rifles, I'm not going to single out any non-bullpup rifle, but most of us have ARs, so if you want to compare it to that. Non-bullpup rifles, the design is usually very front heavy, meaning most of the weight is to the forefront, and not all the way in the back, like in the stock, or nor is it distributed throughout the entire length of the rifle. So non-bullpup rifles, the weight is very front heavy compared to a bullpup rifle, whereas the weight is distributed. So for example, if I had to put this on a ledge, the weight is pretty much right there in the center, and I'm taking the rifle with my weak hand, and as you can see, I can hold it like this, one-handed, without any problems. And this is with my weak hand. I can hold it like this because the weight is distributed pretty much in the middle and throughout the entirety of the rifle. So unlike a non-bullpup rifle, the weight is not up there towards the front where it's going to be harder for you to hold with one hand. So that's an advantage of the bullpup design. And that comes with real estate capitalization, meaning utilizing the stock space. On non-bullpup rifles, in the back, the stock is pretty much just reserved for the stock. And in my state, you can't have a telescoping stock, so if you see anyone that does have one, it has to get it pinned and welded. So it has no other purpose other than looks cool. But you can't really adjust the length of the stock. So it's functionality-wise, it's not that much. You can't really get that much use out of it because you can't telescope the stock. It's only used just for shoulder support, and again, that comes to non-bullpup rifles. For the stock, it's pretty much limited to support only. Whereas for the bullpup design, not only can you get support with the stock, but also they utilize the space in the back. So here you can see the ejection port, the chamber, and this is the magazine well. So the magazine comes in the back. So this entire space in the back is utilized. This is also a gas piston design, and not direct impingement. So all the short piston gas drive, so all the debris, all the heat from all the gases gets collected up here, and the gas comes back, but it keeps the chamber relatively clean. Unlike direct impingement, where the debris and all the dirt and whatnot comes back into the chamber and makes the chamber hot, makes the chamber dirty. For a gas piston gun, all of that is up here, so it keeps the rest of the gun clean. It gets hotter up here though, not towards the back. And in terms of reliability, gas pistons are more reliable than direct impingement. The piston system is more reliable, and I'm talking about shooting hundreds, if not thousands of rounds before you can really see the difference in reliability. Again, that's because of the debris coming back to the chamber. So that's one of the advantages of the piston system. The front, where you can see the gas plug right there, there's two settings. There's a letter labeled S and there's a letter labeled H. If you have it in the S position, that's the normal position, so you're shooting a clean rifle, normal loaded rounds. When you put it to the H position, it will deliver more gases back to the rifle to help cycle the operation. So that's when your rifle gets fouled up or you're shooting underpowered ammunition. So it's very easy. All you gotta do is take your hand and just switch the selector up there. So it's a nice feature. In terms of length comparison, this rifle is a 16-inch rifle, or 16-inch barrel. In its entirety, from front to end, it's still shorter than an M4 with the 14.5-inch barrel with the stock collapsed. So this rifle is still shorter than an M4 with a 14.5-inch barrel with the stock collapsed. It's also just under 2 inches longer than an Uzi with a 10.2-inch barrel with the stock extended. So just to go show you guys how compact this weapon is. And best of all, you don't need to pay an SBR tax stamp for this rifle because it is a 16-inch barrel and the length is over 26 inches. This is 27 inches. Okay, so going back to the weight distribution, the weight is centralized and it makes for carrying the weapon a lot easier. It does come with a cost. It's about 1 pound heavier than the M4.